wrestling, even though it's a job, is the one thing that I can watch and it just takes me away from reality. And I said this earlier, but it's my favorite form of escapism. I don't think it's something that I'll ever fall out of love with. There are times that it can be difficult to watch, especially if you're consuming 10 hours, 12 hours, 15 hours of wrestling a week, and some of it isn't as enjoyable as the other bits. But there's nothing else like it. I just love it.
I think wrestling's incredibly dangerous. I think a lot of people very much like to go back to what we said earlier about it being pantomime, it being fake, it being predetermined. The danger is there all the time, and I think that in terms of the question of whether it's a sensible risk, I guess you have to take that case by case.
I broke my arm. I've got a big scar on my arm off.
People want to be wrestlers for the same reason that people say, when I grow up I want to be a footballer, when I grow up I want to be an actor, when I grow up I want to be a TV presenter, because they see people that they admire doing it and go, I'd love to do it like that.
It was a tag team match and my tag partner was basically thrown by one of the opponents off of a balcony. I bricked up and all his weight just came down on my knee and everything is being pushed down into the ground, but then my ankle obviously broke under that force. I think when I said, ref, I'm fucked, and it got to the point where he went, well, do you want to continue? And I was just like, yeah, fuck it. Yeah, okay. And I just did.
Right. There, right, okay. As a kid, I fell in love with the WWE after playing a video game called SmackDown vs. Raw 2007. It was from this point that a passion grew for the WWE, ECW, TNA, and I very quickly bought into the idea of sports wrestling. Everything from creating who I would want to be as a wrestler in these video games to practicing the moves that I'd seen on TV on my home trampoline. Growing up, I thought that the WWE was the be-all, end-all of wrestling. I didn't know that there was more than just the American wrestling scene. I had no idea that at home here in the UK, there was an independent wrestling scene. So this documentary is a journey, an effort to find out what it is exactly that wrestlers get out of wrestling and to better understand how it feels to do it. Might as well do it. The documentary that you're about to watch is going to explore what exactly makes a British wrestler and why do they do it, inside and outside of the ring, behind the mat, behind the ropes. The entire reason for taking the bump, as it's called. So without further ado, my name is Liam Carroll, I am 22 years old, this is January 4th, 2020, and this is the road to the ring. Hello, Brian.
It's today.
Today's the day.
Today's the day.
Today's the day.
Today's the day.
It doesn't offend me in the same way that I think a lot of fans are offended by wrestling is fake. I do think it takes away perhaps from what's going on in the ring, and it devalues what the men and women wrestling have put their bodies through and the training that they've undergone. But if you're the sort of person that says that, you're never going to enjoy wrestling anyway, right? If you're this kind of guy that goes, hey, wrestling's fake, it's not for you. There's no point trying to convert somebody who's just like, it's fake, isn't it? Because they'll never see the magic. I think you either get wrestling immediately. You can't have it like explained to you even. You'll learn about it along the way, but either you love it or you never will.
I've not got an issue with it, but then I'm not a wrestler. And I imagine if I had put myself through that training and I was living those risks all the time, I possibly would get quite offended if someone said what you're doing is fake. I like to use predetermined or scripted or cooperative, I suppose. I can totally 100% understand why a professional wrestler would be angry if someone said what you do is fake, because there's a difference between fake implies there's no risk and that there's no injury, whereas, you know, there really is. So yeah.
Hello. Great feeling, son.
Why do you wrestle?
Fun, you know, I really enjoy it, you know. It's just a good laugh, and it's just an enjoyment if you can get through the pain, like. You know?
So what do you get out of it?
I wanted to wrestle for ages, and it's my passion, it's what I want to do, so I just enjoy it, you know. It's great fun.
3 words, genuine response. Wrestling's fake.
Well, I hate it when people say wrestling's fake. When people call it sports entertainment as well, you know, that's 2 things I hate. Because you don't know it's fake until you've actually tried it, you know what I mean? It hurts like hell. And you think a year ago I got injured, you know what I mean? So if it was fake, I wouldn't have got injured a year ago, you know? So.
Wait, where's Chris? Let's ask Chris the same question. 3 words. Wrestling's fake.
Go fuck yourself. Depends how you define fake, innit? It's choreographed, yeah, but a lot of the big finishes and all that stuff, they've got to be choreographed to a certain extent. Fake's a harsh word though, because I mean, do half a workout session that you've just done there, son. How are you feeling?
That was PT and it was still rough.
But that's the kind of drills you've got to do wrestling.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
If that's fake, then, you know.
There's no fake about that, I'm hanging.
No. Cut that in.
It's just like overpowered.
That wasn't a chop, that was just hitting him with his hand. Yeah, that was instant red.
Is wrestling fake?
Ow. So, day one, a lot of PT work, which I thought I would be ready for because I go to the gym most days. No, I definitely wasn't, and it's probably one of the things I was feeling the most by the end of the 4-hour training session. I've already developed a huge appreciation for the amount of work that goes into this sport. The amount of planning and execution required to pull a lot of the stuff off is remarkable, and it's all born. You know, the training gives you the tools. It's up to you to kind of build the match, though.
I feel like watching wrestling has a similar vibe to supporting a football team, especially with WWE. Like, I compare WWE. My dad is a West Bromwich Albion fan. I compare my love of WWE to my dad's love of West Bromwich Albion, because the Baggies will have a bad game and he'd be like, oh, manager out, they were awful, what's the point? Terrible game, worst club, they don't even want it. Anyway, we'll see you next week. And that was my love of WWE, was like there'd be episodes of Raw that were terrible and characters I wouldn't get behind. And even to this day, there's confusion and frustration. Anyway, see you next week. Because all we want is for it to get better. And I do compare a lot of time to, and now AEW's on the scene. It's like having, you know, it's like a football local derby every week. You know, everybody chanting at each other. Well, can we play you every week? You're not singing anymore. It's all that between WWE and AEW. And So I think if people aren't treating it as escapism, it's certainly like a tribal fandom type thing, akin to football.
Oh, it's the bell. That's a bell. Whoops. Hello, mate. You alright?
How's it going?
Not too bad. How you doing?
Do you know what dial-up is?
Yeah, I'm not that young. Bloody hell.
Did you though?
Yeah, I did.
It's like a sob story. I was waiting for my friend to knock on us, because that's what you used to do back then. You'd knock on your friend because nobody had mobile phones.
I did that as well.
Whatever. I'm waiting for him to knock on us and he doesn't turn up, so I'm a bit miffed because my friend hasn't knocked on us and I'm 15-year-old, so I'm very emotional. I went on the internet and just for no apparent reason, I just thought, I wonder if you can learn how to be a wrestler around here. And a training school in Wallsend popped up. I went down to my mum took us to the school and it turned out to be a pro wrestling school, and that's how I got started. There was a guy at the school who was just starting to work around the country full time, and he rang me. This is a few years later. Like, I'd been doing a few shows for these guys, but I didn't really know what I was doing. I'd been trained, but I hadn't ever really actually what they call worked, so I didn't really know what I was doing. And he rings me one night, and I worked in a pub at the time, and he says, "Can you come away with me tomorrow for 2 weeks? We're going to wrestling." Basically, the idea is going on the summer camps. I said, yeah, no problem at all. So I ring my boss, say, I'm leaving for 2 weeks. And he was like, yes, no problem at all. Like, nice one. So I went away with him 2 weeks, turned into 6 weeks. I did a full summer, and that's when I learned how to actually wrestle and how to actually do the job. Me and my friends, we watched wrestling, so we did what every single wrestling fan did back then. We didn't criticise the wrestling on the internet. We went in the back garden and played wrestling because we were kids, and that's what we did. And they asked instead of, have you got any wrestling experience? And I said, I've done a bit backyard wrestling, which is the stupidest thing I've ever said in my life. Yeah. But hey,
because you had a WWE tryout. When was that?
2009 maybe.
How old are you then?
And then I was about 22. Yeah. Come down to the O2 Arena in London, and I think it was before SmackDown. You had to do in the ring and all that, and your gear, and they just watch you and see how you move in the ring and all that. They seem more interested in how you move in the ring and how you look than anything else. They're not really like, I remember there was a guy that did like a second rope springboard moonsault, and they just stopped it and like went down his throat. He got a good telling off, the poor lad.
Really?
Yeah, because they didn't care. They didn't know. They couldn't give a toss if you could do 7 450s or whatever you can do. All they wanted to see was how you moved in the ring and how you looked in the ring.
So it was more kind of a ring presence thing,
which I didn't have at that time. I was like 14 stone.
So about my size.
Little skinny lad, yeah. I was just skinny. I had abs and all that, but it wasn't because I did sit-ups. It was because I had no fat on us. I was just a little skinny kid.
Yeah.
And I asked what I can do, and they said, you need to put more size on. You need to have something, a presence about you. And I got into like bodybuilders to learn how to, because them guys are massive, so it seems like the right guys to talk to.
Yeah.
When I was 18, I was 9 stone, so I was like a pencil. When I was 25, I was 18.5 stone, and that's not that long of a time. And I worked hard to get like that. And when I was wrestling, I found that I wouldn't eat on the days I was wrestling and stuff like that, and I just became a bit obsessed with it, to be honest.
Right. So you've had injuries in the past in your career, yeah? So obviously you're wearing your wrist supports now. So what injuries have you actually gotten over the years?
I mean, I've probably been pretty lucky compared to a lot of professional wrestlers, but I've had a lot of concussions, a lot of them. Maybe probably double figures of concussions, which causes a lot of memory, but I have really bad memory.
Yeah.
You just ask her about that and she'll tell you. I broke my arm. I've got a big scar on my arm on there, which broke my shit tattoo, which was actually probably a good thing because it's an awful tattoo. So I came down like that, and it snapped in half, and my wrist turned, so when I lifted my hand up, my hand was facing us, but my arm was that way. So I turned my hand back around in the ring, and it started to do a half pipe. Went to the hospital, and they said, because you've dislocated your wrist, it'll probably never heal properly, so I get arthritis in the winter and stuff, and that's a bit of a chew on, and I can't do any real weight training without it really hurting, so I just wear these all the time just to keep my wrist supported, because it has dislocated when I've been doing a dumbbell bench press. It's dislocated before, which isn't nice. I've had some neck neck where I've been landed on my head and hurt my neck, but nothing too serious. And my back's pretty bad, and my knees, I've hurt my knees a few times. But fingers, I broke every single one of my fingers.
In the ring?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Broke my finger on the last show. Not the last show. I broke my finger on one of the full tilt shows. Didn't even know until like a few days later. I was like, my finger's fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I had to go try wedding rings on, and it was my wedding finger, and they're like, you're gonna have to come back another day because my finger was like all up here and stuff.
Yeah.
But the main problems that I've had has been head injuries, like hitting my head and stuff. That's the most dangerous thing I think, apart from hurting your neck. Because all this thing about like what they call CTE and all that. You know, you don't want your brain fucked up, especially as you get older.
Yeah.
I'll probably have Alzheimer's by the time I'm 40.
Wrestling is 100% dangerous. People have been severely injured in the ring, they've lost their lives in the ring. So yeah, wrestling is inherently dangerous. However hard people who don't watch wrestling go in on wrestling, the dangers are there and they're very, very obvious. Sure, it might be predetermined, it might be scripted, but ultimately it's still very, very risky.
It's easy to forget about the risk when everything's going well, and then all it takes is for one thing to go wrong on a show or one person to be injured. That was something I never really fully kind of grappled with until I was part of running a promotion or helping to run a promotion, and then the risk of injury becomes very real because it's people that you've actually met, and it's not only whether or not the show goes well, if there's a mistake or not, but then it's whether or not this person's going to be okay. Unfortunately, one of our shows was one where Drew McIntyre suffered quite a bad injury, which thankfully he's recovered from now, but it was a really scary moment. We called an ambulance and everything. It was really scary. So I don't know, and that wasn't from he wasn't jumping off like a ladder or anything. It was just taking a move in the ring. And as someone who's never fully trained to be a wrestler, it feels like a bit of a world apart from me.
That's where the calculated risk comes in. It's risk for reward. You go, is this going to do anything for me here? Is this needless? Will the match be great without this? But then even just like, it's not just about putting people through glass and chairs and tables. Even with the basic stuff, there is risk because you're manipulating the body in ways that it shouldn't be manipulated in a lot of cases, and you're doing it and you're making it look as authentic as possible. Like action movies at Hollywood have stunt people and they're trained and they have mats to fall on, whereas wrestling, it's like the actor is also the stunt man and there's no crash mats. It's all happening in front of you there and there, and it is incredibly risky to do it, and you have to be of a certain physical capability and a certain mindset to be able to do it and to do it safely. I think you just take the risk and reward based on each situation. I don't think there's like an overall answer to that.
Ask them for their response of if somebody come to you and said, "No, wrestling's fake," a lot of them responded with, "Have you tried it?" Or I can't remember who it was. Somebody said, "Everybody should try it, even if it's just the once."
I don't agree with that.
You don't think they should?
No. If somebody else says to me, "Isn't wrestling fake?" I say, "I don't know. Let me punch you in your face. I'll tell you." Is wrestling fake? Yeah. Give me your arm. Give me your arm. You go, okay, this is just a wrist lock, just put in a wrist lock. Does that hurt?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wrestling, right?
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, right. Not everyone should try it. If you say to somebody, if you say, everyone's got their opinions on things, there's nothing wrong with that, and everyone's entitled to their opinion, but my opinion on that is, me saying to you, well, you should try it, everyone should try it once. That's me basically saying, anyone can try it, it's easy.
Yeah.
In my eyes. If you say to them, you can't do what I do, so even trying is a stupid idea.
It seems like training in itself is dangerous anyway.
It is. That's why not just anybody can be a professional wrestler, and why not just anybody should be. That's why some people should watch from the stands and some people should be in the ring. You've got to have something about you. Just being a big mountain muscle isn't enough either. There's plenty of guys out there who are built like fucking bodybuilders who never get anywhere in wrestling because they're just not very good.
Yeah.
There's nothing about them. So you've got to have something about you. But you've got to have a look as well. And you should want to be in the gym. It's part of wrestling. Wrestling's about a few different things. It's about the wrestling, obviously. Being in the gym, camaraderie amongst all the wrestlers, being around, on the road with wrestlers. It's about drinking, partying, and enjoying yourself. This is the magic juice. Arnold Schwarzenegger says gym. Beam is the one. but it's actually Jack Daniels.
And just a splash.
Just a splash, just a quick shot out. Nice, right?
Sure.
Cheers.
Cheers. Nope.
I think as anybody who's, either watched wrestling or has got close to it in some way knows, it's not even just the high risk stuff that can cause injuries. They can just occur like at any moment, can't they? And it's quite easy to forget that.
Almost popped my bollock. Not when I was training, but did a rumble match for WCPW back in 2016. Everything was going fine, and then it got to the point where I had to be thrown over the top rope to the outside, and my legs went like that on my ball, and one of the most painful experiences of my life. It wasn't great. I wasn't walking very well for a little while afterwards. I genuinely thought that my ball had exploded. It hadn't, it was just severely bruised, but I don't think it was far off.
That's to sync the audio, isn't it?
It sure is.
Geek smarts. I'm Craig, otherwise known as Milton. Close to 3 years since I had my first show, so that'll make about 3.5 years of training. Well, like I always thought as a kid that I would sort of want to do that.
Who is Craig Rowe outside of the ring?
How would you describe that? Like, I do the same things that other people do. Like, play football with my mates, I spend time with my friends, drink. And I don't know, I would say I have a pretty ordinary life away from wrestling. I don't really do many things that other people wouldn't. I don't know, I feel like I'm a big personality, and like wrestling is what I use to get that, to sort of showcase that big personality. But aside from that, I wouldn't say there's like wrestling is the most special thing I do. If I could describe it like that, that's what I would say.
Have you been injured before?
You know the answer to that question. So, many times, yes. The first one was in training. Not that many people saw it, so it wasn't as bad as the rest. I just sort of like slipped off the ropes and landed like on my wrist. Just had to wear like a thingy on my wrist for a couple of weeks. That one wasn't bad. That was like the first one. After that, I would have had my first bad one, which was when I was in a singles match against TK Cooper. And like, it was on such a simple thing as well. I was just clotheslining them or something. And for some reason, I sort of just landed wrong, because it's like I jumped a bit, I landed wrong and my knee just buckled out to the side. And I've had problems with that knee anyways, and yeah, that one's quite a bad one, because that's like, if it happens bad where it fully like not like pops out, but it's like the ligaments like strain like that, then it's like 6 weeks away from the ring. It does worries a little bit, yeah, and I am sort of trying to get it sorted. Like, I am on the waiting list for like a joint clinic to go see what's wrong with it, because there definitely is like an underlying issue there. Even if that particular knee hasn't buckled, I'll still put a brace on it under my knee pad just to be sure. This one is pretty much on me. It was a tag team match, and there was a spot on the outside of the ring in which my tag partner was basically thrown by one of the opponents off of a balcony, and I was the one catching him. And rather than sort of falling back with him like you're supposed to, I bricked up, and all his weight just came down on my knee, which obviously like sort of, it was like a compression break, if that makes sense. So like, if you imagine my leg is a spring and everything is being pushed down into the ground, but then my ankle obviously broke under that force. It was quite a bad break as well. Like, obviously You know, maybe if you've just like fractured a little bit of your bone in your ankle, maybe it's not that long of healing. But with this one, I was like fully on crutches for like 8 weeks. With the way it happened, the fact that the force came down on my like thigh, on my knee, and everything was pushed downward. Obviously, I could feel that something was wrong, but my mind didn't immediately go broken ankle. So I just kind of got on with it because I could. Between then and the end of the match was maybe like 12 minutes. I think I probably said some expletives. I think I might have said, "Ref, I'm fucked." Like, "Are you? What's happening?" I was like, "I don't know," like my leg. And then he basically, you know, I had that bit of back and forth, and it got to the point where he went, "Well, do you want to continue?" And I was just like, "Yeah, fuck it. Yeah, okay." And I just did. A lot of it did go back to that match against TK Cooper because, you know, I was disappointed that I had to cut that match short because I was injured. So that was in the back of my mind, and I was like, I can't do that again. And this time it was worse as well because I thought about like the plan for the match. Back when it was TK Cooper, that was a singles match, and I was booked to lose. So there was no harm in me, although, you know, we didn't get to have the match. There was no harm in me taking a finish and just lying down for the pin because I was hurt. So that's what I did. But then in this one, the tag match, we were champions and we were booked to win. So that was in the back of my mind as well. I was like, I can't go away from that. I'm involved in the finish, and then that finish needs to be that. Pain when you're under that amount of adrenaline doesn't really feel the same as normal pain. It was like a pain that I could put to the back of my mind for the time being. It was like, it was weird because it was more about not pain limitations, but like physical limitations. So could I run on it? And it wasn't that the pain was stopping us from doing that, like the physical fact that my ankle couldn't support us was stopping us. The fact that the crowd was there and all of the things that I mentioned, you know, the fact that we were booked to win and the fact that I didn't want it to be the same as the TK Cooper match, all of those things was more than the problem itself. I don't think I would ever, or at least not anytime soon, want to stop. I just love wrestling so much. It's like my favourite thing to do. When I'm not injured, I actually kind of like the small things, like the cuts and bruises, like waking up sore the next day. You know, it's because you know that it means you know that you've done some hard work. You know you've put on a good show. If someone said to you, "Oh, you can't wrestle for 2 months," like let's say you get like, I don't know, suspended from a company. Oh, that's okay. I'll just put my focus into something else. But it wasn't like that because I was on crutches, so I couldn't do anything else. Like, I couldn't just, all right, well, I'm not wrestling for the next 2 months. I'll go play football instead. I couldn't do that. I couldn't do anything for those 2 months. So it was just a bit like I had all this energy and nowhere to put it. So yeah, it wasn't good. Yeah.
Oh, it's a hard thing to admit that you enjoy pro wrestling. I remember being bullied relentlessly at school for liking wrestling. And back then, when you're growing up and you want to be cool and you want to impress girls or whatever, then it's like a dirty secret, isn't it, liking wrestling? But now I'm at the point in my life that I don't really care, and not just because I do this for a living, I talk about wrestling for a living, but because you should never hide the things that you're passionate about.
For me, as a teenager, like you've had, mixed sort of success socially at school. Wrestling was something that brought me friends, and wrestling was something that I could have that was mine as well. And I think that's a big part of wrestling's appeal is its ability to transport people to something else. I think even that has been tested during like the last awful 18 months that we've had, where even wrestling looked different during lockdown, and there was no way you could avoid it. It looked and felt different, but it was still there.
Okay, so the country's been on lockdown for about a month now. We have all the gyms are shut, all the training centres are shut, the wrestling training has been shut, obviously. So right now it's just a case of
trying to keep fit until training recommences. So the past 2 weeks I've been coming here to my local field in order to train cardio and try and keep some fitness up. So let's go. So something that I was stuck thinking about is, through all of this, how vital fitness is for the sport and to maintain ring shape. Now, it's impossible to maintain ring shape when you're not in the ring, but what can be maintained is a bit of cardio, and cardio goes a long way in keeping in ring shape, all the stopping and starting. So with this, jogging every day is doing longer distance, short distance and shuttles to try and maintain at least some of the cardiovascular progress that I've made when I first started training. I didn't go into doing this documentary ever thinking that I would bring up body dysmorphia. But I'm going to. So I've kind of done this project. I've realised how prevalent it is in my journey. You don't ever see the true version of you in the reflection in pictures or film or whatever, which this isn't great for. But you have like a hypersensitivity to flaws and to imperfections, and even the most minute imperfection can seem very, very big. I have been living with body dysmorphic disorder since I was 14. I mean, it got that bad, I was borderline anorexic at one point. But why am I bringing this up? I mean, everybody knows that, you know, when you think of a wrestler's physique, you know, it's very muscly and very toned. And no matter how hard I've worked at the gym over these past 3 years, I've never really been happy with my body. And any time that I stop working out, well, I immediately recede into that toxic state of mind that, oh wait, you didn't work out for a day, so all of that progress is gone. Inherently, you are fat. I am becoming more and more aware that as my time with wrestling grows closer to a show date, there's a pretty high chance that my body is going to either start or end up on show because of the nature of what wrestling is. Like, I've just seen my reflection there in the bloody monitor. Woof.
Oh, fuck.
So, not being able to go to the gym, not being able to train, is really doing a number on my brain, and I feel terrible about how I look at the minute. Utterly awful. I would love to get to the end of this documentary and feel like I have body confidence. But that's a long road. Yeah. I'll see you when I get back to training. Today is the first day that I'll be going back to gym training. I have struggled incredibly mentally. If there's one thing that I've been looking forward to most since lockdown and everything started, it's been getting back in the ring. Because I've never worked harder physically and mentally in so long. I think I might have the bug for it. Yeah.
You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me.
You look proper nervous.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna avoid it, I am.
who deceive me, muddy ends break through the chains, go free me. Looking for change, looking for pain, pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane, pick up the pieces and go with the rain. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test and expect nothing less, your check as I'm chess, what's happening next, yeah. He got the venom, a tangible weapon, no coming in second. This life is a lesson, he got a new engine from pain, that's a blessing. New focus, no guessing, just bold and obsession, all in his possession. You got their attention, I'll leave an impression and take your redemption. Just kill no discretion, your mind is a weapon. 11-11, it's time for progression, oh!
How long does it last me, because I'm still being rusty. Trying to come in. Big tire. Big tire. Big tire. Big heads.
So the one being down, one shine like down, shine into finish. Third one, I'm going to be outsmarting you.
And we could change the world, change times, rearrange them. Staying on pace, running the race. Life is a chase, I don't want a place, I want to be first. Work till it hurts, dehydrated thirst till I'm in a hearse. High ambitions in the right mind can take you so far. It's like you lived a few lifetimes. Take off from a break off from the weak minds. They can stay soft, you can change lives, you create thoughts, never waste time. You got one shot, you got one life, better pop off. What do you like? Make a dream job, no 9-5, no mean boss, just my life and free thoughts. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try to change, you can say no, free me.
My knees are going forth.
I started this documentary 2 years ago this month. In that time, I have put in more work than I ever had done before to... Oh, I'm not even in focus. In that time, I have put in more work than I ever have done in my entire life into my physical body, into my fitness. A lot has changed in the last 2 years, but it all comes down to this 6 months now. Between now and summer, of 2022, I am going to finish this documentary. My journey will come to an end, and I will end up on a show card, and I am very, very nervous about that. But tomorrow is a return to training, and to think that I've been doing this for 2 years, it's very surreal. And I know that circumstantially it's because of COVID. Knowing that I'm coming to the end of my journey now, though, is pretty surreal, and that I will end up wrestling a match in front of a crowd. Just thinking about it is making my palms sweat. So this is it. It all comes down to this 6 months.
Get yourselves back on track, take time, don't go straight away.
So I've literally just had a training match there. It's a month before the show. Then I'm going to be on, well, just over a month. And just had a botch where I just fucked up the international, we collided heads. And just beat myself up about it. Because what if that happens, you know, during the show? And everything else went perfectly, but like I can't stop beating myself up about that like one bit that went wrong. It's got me worried. I mean, I'm worried enough about next month as it is, but like now I'm worried about if I, you know, fuck up in front of the crowd instead of just my trainees, friends, you know. Otherwise, though, training's going pretty good. Despite that. My head doesn't hurt, so that's good, I guess.
Wrestling can be an incredibly rewarding experience. The sense of community and friendship amongst a lot of the talent is incredibly endearing. The unfortunate truth, however, is that behind the curtain, not all is as it may seem.
Well, my real name's Chris Davies. My ring name, not very original, Big Chris. And my job, I would say like trainer and promoter. I'm wrestling a while. I used to play ice hockey and I got banned for 6 months and I wanted to keep my fitness up, so wrestling was the sort of thing I was like, I want to try that. For me, the best thing about being a pro wrestler, there's like a few different things. From a performing point of view, I enjoy like performing in front of a crowd, the reaction. From a training point of view, I enjoy training, learning new things, and I enjoy teaching. It's not one thing, there's like a load of different things with different places of the job. When I first started, there was a lot of casual racism around. Now, like I said, I come from hockey, so Like I used to get racially abused there, but I could sort it there, you know, just punch someone in the face. It was a bit different when you come to wrestling because obviously there's this whole like paying your dues thing, and like you're not supposed to like say out to people that have been wrestling for ages. Like I didn't know this at the time, but I found out since when I first come out, a lot of the other wrestlers, not the people I was training with, but other wrestlers in the Northeast didn't like us. And I was like, why, what did I do? He's like, well, you were bigger than everyone, you were louder than everyone, and you were black. And I was a bit shocked, come out and someone called us a fat black cunt. So I took the mic off the announcer and I was like, what did you say, mate? He didn't say it again, so I was like, well, I'll tell you what, I was like, after I've chinned fucking him, I'm gonna come and I'm gonna find you, I'm gonna fuck you up. And he just ran out, never come back. And then the other time was like, it was one and only booking outside of the Northeast. It was in Hull. It was in the crowd, someone said something, but I completely lost my temper. And the lad I was against, I sort of like took it out on him a little bit. It was mainly just because like, I was so angry, do you know what I mean? I was in the ring with like 2 of the lads from the Northeast, and I was like, yeah, get us out of this ring, I'm gonna kill somebody. Like when I started in the Northeast, well, it was me, I'm mixed race, so I'm half black, half white. An Asian guy wrestler, a Muslim type wrestler, and that was it. And one of the first things I said was like, I didn't want to be like a stereotype. The guy that's like a Muslim type guy, his character is like he's a Arabian prince or some kind of fucking bullshit, which I don't like at all. And just like I was just like, I just want to be a wrestler. I just want to wrestle. I want to be Big Chris because that's who I am. It was much easier. Wrestling, like actually performing, like I do love it, but like I broke my leg 2 years ago, just before the pandemic, and I keep trying to come back, and like I don't think it's there as much to perform. Just I literally twisted my leg and I fractured like my patella, so there was like a clean fracture right down the middle, and then my ligaments got tangled up in my knee. So like for about 6 weeks, my leg was like about that big. I couldn't really walk on it. And then obviously with the pandemic, I couldn't go for me bloody rehab and that, so I had to basically rehab it myself. 2021, getting back to like proper fitness, and then I got injured again, and then lockdown happened again. So I was just like, I enjoy coaching, so I'm like, right, we'll just stick with that and see what happens. Like I say, when I played ice hockey and that, it was very, very rampant. But I used to just use that to fuel my anger. When you wrestle, you can't wrestle angry. Otherwise, well, there's good things. You could hurt the other person, you could just fuck up, or you could just like ruin everyone's like night out. So it's like you can't. It's a whole different thing. Like one of the things I've said since I started wrestling, it helped us like control my anger, because as a wrestler, you've got to like bait people all the time. So then you start to like pick up cues in the way people are. So yeah, I didn't want anyone to feel the way I did. I should have said something. Yeah.
What is the break? Is that the where it's like?
Sorry, that little crack there.
Right.
So that's the scaphoid bone. So that's in your wrist. That's.
Where are they going? Right. So, being in the A&E, I've broken my scaphoid, which is a tiny bone in my hand, which is there. So I've got to get a cast on it tomorrow. But I'm still doing the match next week. Next Sunday, I will be making my professional wrestling debut with a broken hand. And we did a lot of training today, figuring out what I could and couldn't do with a broken hand. And I'm really happy with the outcome. It's a strong match, it's a fun match, and despite this as a setback, I'm actually going to be able to do things in the match. I'm not limited by this. There's, thanks to the amount of training that I've been doing, leading to this point, I've got enough in my repertoire to be able to perform with the break. I feel like I'm really ready for this. And it's been such a long time coming. But I'm really, really looking forward to it. So, here's to Sunday.
And that is making the best out of a bad situation. Boom!
It's the 20th of April. It's the 20th of April. My match is this Sunday. And I have not slept a proper full night this week. I cannot stop thinking about the match. I can't stop thinking it over in my head. I can't stop thinking about the way that the order is going of the match. 4 days before the match. It's Friday, Saturdays. 4 days. It is going to be the biggest night of my life.
I don't like you.
So balls on me front, because we can work this in a little bit more.
Yeah, don't hold the wrist. Yeah, come on.
I'm going for the time,
Yeah. Spin around, push.
Ow.
Splash. Did this himself, it's his knee.
Yeah. Splash.
Ow, yeah.
Swat on. Boom. Boom. Bam. My name is Liam Carroll. At the time of recording, I am 24 years old. And today, my road of the ring comes to an end. Today, I'll be debuting in a ring in a tag championship match.
Genuinely impressed with this, by the way. Not the pattern, the fact that you're wrestling.
Because I've got no brain. He's like, does that not hurt? And I was like, no, it's fine. He was like, eh. Oh my god!
First short night, how do you feel?
I don't know, I'm nervous. I'm really nervous. I'm excited for it, but I'm like, I'm trying not to be in my own head about it. I don't know, like, I mean, even when I broke my hand last week, I knew that I was still going to do the show this week, because I mean, like, I genuinely feel like I'll be letting a lot of people down. Like, I was like, I felt like, I mean, probably not, but like, I feel like I'll be letting you, Nick, and Reese down, and like, everybody who was going to come and see us, let myself down as well. So I was like, I'm not, there was too much in us to be like, you're doing this, to not do it. And even though a lot of people have been saying, you're mental, because of this, I think it's a good storytelling piece. So
one last question, and it's one that I remember very fondly. When I say the word wrestling, what 3 words come to mind after 2 years?
No, the question was, wrestling is fake. What words come to mind?
So the fact you remembered it and I didn't. Shows you who gets dropped on the head more often. But yes, wrestling is fake, 3 words.
You are wrong. They're my 3 words.
I mean, evidence right here.
Yeah.
quickly, I roll over. So I hit the ropes, hit you again. Pick up Reese, put you in the corner. Little 1-2 tag moves, quick. With us two, just beat them up in the corner. Corner, yep. Lead to the one where you're going to go for the splash.
Splash it. Oh, nice. Big splash!
I turn back around to you to see what the hell's going on. Reese dumps me out the ring. So do double moves, the last one for T-twister. Elbow. Kick, yep. Bigger moves on you, the slams and stuff, it was like leg drops and that, and then the fall away. Well, hit the ropes, duck your line, I go on the middle ropes, you walk away, as soon as I hit them ropes, because I'm not looking, I slide, bang. Yeah, come back, look across body, we just back back.
Count 6. Yeah, try and get the peak series count.
Liam, first match is over. The 2-year wait is over. We lost, as we already knew, to be fair. The journey's over. Well, this chapter is anyway.
But it's really just begun.
Cheesy quote number 1.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, to begin with, like, this was going to be it. Like, I was going to do one and done, and like then I was going to be out. But then,
did a certain bug bite you?
Yes. Yeah, I believe it's called the wrestle team bug. It was a lot of fun, and what I'm happy about most is when I first did anything in the ring with a crowd in 2020, which was on that Prospect show, as Ryan's manager. I don't remember any of it.
The trainee show, sorry.
Yeah, the trainee show. I don't remember any of it. Don't remember any of it even to today. Whereas that, I was lucid instead of instead of getting out there and then just kind of going into like blank work mode. I had a lot of fun.
You definitely got over with the crowd. I mean, I think we can say it was a success. And
it was a great match.
To them too as well. We say thank you.
It was all nerves until I left the gate, and then I was like, come on, and I was like, yeah, I was happy, I was great. As soon as I got on the apron, I was like, I feel I'm going to be sick.
It's not normal. It's not a normal approach.
It's really not.
It's not how many people approach it, but how do you feel the approach has helped?
It helped, it helped with like storytelling, because the good thing is it doesn't, I mean, yeah, okay, my hand's broken, but like at this point, it doesn't really hurt. It hurts after like prolonged digit use, but
I got plenty of questions about it.
It did limit what I could do, but I think what we did do worked really well.
Yes.
I think for me going forward, I need to try and control my adrenaline, because when I was,
that comes with time, don't worry.
Yeah.
Definitely comes with time.
That was it. I was not ready for the amount of adrenaline that like ran through us.
You wait till it dumps.
Oh God!
It's not going to hit you.
I'm going to bed.
I have had to put up with this. I can't swear, can I?
Brilliant human.
Insert actual reference. For the last 2 years, and from being a camera guy with no experience prior to even wrestling, let alone doing the shenanigans, he's come on leaps and bounds, and I don't mean because he likes to do flippy shit.
Couldn't even do any there though.
There's a few things that I probably wouldn't be doing if it wasn't for your really bad influence on me.
Oh, absolutely.
Including one that happened in the match where it winded me so much when you were talking to me. I was trying to go shut the fuck up.
Wait, which bit was that?
The crossbody fail.
Oh my God.
You're like, is the what's next then, Liam? What's next? Come on.
I don't know.
You could have just said, I don't know, we shall see.
Ask it again.
So, Liam, going forward after your first match, what's next for the Carol?
We will see.
Dun dun dun!
To be continued. Roll credits.
Just your name order.
Yeah.
Wrestling has always been there for me. Even when I was a lapsed fan, it was still kind of in the background. It was there as a hobby when I was young. It was there as escapism. Probably when I was younger, as a teenager and getting a bit picked on and stuff, wrestling was there as escapism. Wrestling was there as a way of just shutting my mind off from stuff and I could just sit and enjoy it. Wrestling was something that I could creatively throw myself into, whether I was writing fantasy booking, whether I was working with wrestling shows. Wrestling was something that I got to a point where I could get involved in, working as a ring announcer and a commentator. And in 2019, it goes without saying that wrestling pretty much saved my life, because had wrestling not been a thing, when I lost my job, I would have probably had to move back home and find something else. And I don't know how I'd have gotten on, because it would have broke my heart to leave where I live right now. And it's because of Cultaholic and primarily because of wrestling that I get to be here. Wrestling went from my hobby to my job, and I still love it.
Wrestling has evolved so much in such a short period of time, and the human body can only do so much. So how much more impressive can the moves get? But ultimately, you just need that one thing, the Stone Cold Steve Austin, the Hogan, the Rock, the Bryan, the Punk that people latch onto. And people are clever, charismatic, and just good enough to be that person. There's some amazing wrestling. Something's just got to click, and then wrestling could boom again at any point. So will it ever be as popular as it was 20 years ago? I don't know. I have no idea. But with the right person, it definitely could be.
I thought Liam did exceptionally well for his debut at professional wrestling, especially with a broken hand. That is not easy to do.
When he came in and we all saw he broke his hand, we thought, like, well, he's meant to be wrestling this weekend. What's he going to do about that? But yeah, he made it work.
Anything I said wouldn't have made any difference. If Liam wants to do something, nothing and nobody will stop him.
He managed to pull it off. Liam managed to pull it off, and as much as I was very scared that he would hurt himself, he managed to do it really, really well. He knocked it out of the park, considering all things considered.
I think it kind of tells you more about yourself than it does about the wrestling.
That was the first time I'd been to a wrestling live show, and I loved the experience. It was so fun.
So fun. The atmosphere was something else. It really was just. It's hard to put into words, really.
Thoroughly recommend anybody tries and goes at least once to savour the atmosphere, because it's so fun.
Quite interesting how there's a lot of the audience just let themselves go and let themselves get absorbed in it and just have a bit of fun with it and then let yourself go, and I think you'll have a fab time.
There was quite a few new faces to wrestling in the crowd, and it was lovely to see them get engaged, get involved, and really connect with the performers in the ring. You could see the performers in the ring having fun and feeding off the crowd, and that's always, you love to see that.
I was getting way more into it than I thought I was going to be. Every time there was a heel on the stage, I was like, woo! It was great. Honestly, like a very, very good experience. I compared it to like going to a football match, but I never got into a football match as much as I got into that wrestling event.
You can really appreciate that, you know, this is really serious stuff to the people who perform.
Just have a bit of fun with yourself and the event. You'll be fine.
I would definitely go again. The crowd, the whole general atmosphere was just fantastic.
As a die-hard wrestling fan, of course I would go again and see these performers who have really knocked out of the park for most of their first shows. You know, they've gone in there, they've given it all, they've not held back. Liam particularly was hitting some really insane spots, was really not taking it easy on himself considering the injury. I absolutely would go back. I'd love to return and see it. Live wrestling's just the best.